know, around here we did not have electricity, but people had radios and had old big batteries, you know, that ran the radios. My dad would come down the road a lot of times to hear the news, and he would put a fork, the back of the fork, the handle of the fork between his teeth, lay his head to the radio so he could hear. If that was for hearing aids ever come out around here.
What did the fork do?
I reckon groan. I do not know. Groan, I suppose. You know, not that I really know. But then hearing aids came out, and Dad and my uncle got one, and which it was one of the type that he got. He would have to wire up a little old box about the size of that in your pocket,
Right.
and things like that, so he could hear. And when Dad died, he was still wearing hearing aids, and I believe when my dad died that it was the same type hearing aid. He had the little, I think it was a little smaller box that was clipped into his pocket when my dad died and all. But when we were growing up, you know, a lot of people was not happy, but we were very happy, very happy. And I had a little sister drowned when she was 5 years old. She was deaf. She was deaf and could not talk.
Was she drowned in the ocean or the Sound?
And right north of our home. You know, when you're going north here out of the neighborhood and you take that curve like this, right up the road here, she drowned it in that, right in there. And,
did she fall in a hole or something?
She and my brother, and it was on the 13th of May, and that day was on Sunday, Mother's Day, when she died. And but she was born normal, and she was just like any normal child that you ever see. She growed to talk, to jabber, talk, and she heard, and she was crawled, and then she walked, and something struck her, and she had to learn to crawl and walk all over like a newborn baby.
Was it a fever?
She had, yes, and they say, some of them says she had paralysis, and well, you know, they weren't doctors here, and Mom had to take her to Lisbon, and the doctors see them weren't up to date to what they would be today. And her tonsils, they claim, had poisoned her, and I never heard like no, so really don't know. But anyway, she never did learn to talk anymore. She jabbered. She was even in Christmas programs and things out here to this church, and she couldn't talk. She'd jabber up a storm, though. She knew when to stop. She knew when to start. She knew when to stop, because they practiced with her.
You said she couldn't hear?
Thought
Since
it was
birth?
a loud noise. No, she learned she could hear when she was born.
Oh, all
she
that
lost her
happened.
hearing at the same time, and all. But and then she drowned it, and then we had, which gave us a baby. And
Were you older? So
I'm
you
the oldest
remember.
one.
You
I
remember
was
that.
the oldest one, and then my brother, and then Vivian, and then Kay, and all. But we were very happy. We weren't. My mom made our clothes. My mom made our clothes, and all, and much better things than what they are today when you go to buy them, because they may not be half sewed today. When you go buy them and things, you know, and she then was starched. Everything starched.
Now, what were your parents' names?
My mother's name is Florence. She was a Barnett.
Barnett.
She came from Frisco.
Okay.
And then she married Daddy, was a hooper.
Oh.
And then I married a hooper.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, and she has a sister lives in the neighborhood too. That sister is my aunt and sister-in-law too.
How about that?
She married Mama's sister, came up here and married Leslie's oldest brother. And then when I grew up, I married the middle brother.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
for I didn't change my maiden name not one bit from what it was. But she, like I say, she sewed, and she quilted. She would hang net. My mom hung net when I was little, growing up, you know, to help make money.
Right here in Salvo, is that where you grew up?
Do you know where the Blue Whale's at? Well, you go right across from the Blue Whale, and there a sign says Wellington Lane. They're a home. When you go across from the Blue Whale, you'll see a big white trailer that's over in a field like, double wide, and that's on one side of the road that goes in, and on the north side of the road is a house up on pilings. Okay, Mom's house was over back.
Oh, okay.
And that double wide trailers was my brother's property, from state right away to the sign, and from south to that house. And believe it or not, that old house that you see, here's the blue whale here on the west, on the west side of the road, or east side of the road, like that, and you cross the road here, and here's a house set here, and then the white double white is here. This was my brother's home. He sold that.
Oh.
He sold that, and moved away. Wish he was in the service. He was in the service when Daddy died, and he came out. He quit Coast Guard, but they took him back in. He stayed home for a few months and decided this is for the birds. I want to go back, so he went back and finally retired after 20-some year. I forgot what it was. He chief warrant or something. I forgot what it was. And then you come from his house this direction, and here's the white double white here, and you walk right straight across that road, and here's my mom's house here. And this house out next to the road was my son's home, and he sold it, and he's living in his trailer over there in my yard. Him and his wife and daughter, yeah. But,
Right. So were those houses on the sound side or the ocean?
Sound side. On the
Okay.
west side is the sound side, and this is
Right.
the ocean side.
Okay.
And all. I can remember about the cars, the little old cars through here, and I can, as a child, I can remember when I sat down by myself nights. I crochet a lot, and that's when I do my reading, my Bible, and things like that, and study. And I think back when I was a child, about wishing many a time that so-and-so had a car. I remember a man across the road here that lived on the north side of where Leslie's mother's home was at. They had a car, and I've seen them, as a little girl, I've seen them jack the car up and take the tar and swing it around, and then we jump in it to the steering wheel. That was to get it going.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen them dig hole, take
Do you
the
remember
car.
when the first cars showed up?
First car, yeah, and I thought I was crazy, because to me, it looked so silly, because I'd never seen nothing like it. It looked like spokes in the wheel, had
Yeah.
these spokes in the wheel. I can remember that.
Do you remember about what year that was when the first car showed
Oh
up?
my Lord, no, I can't remember what year, but I can
Yeah.
remember. And the older you get, more things like it'll come to you when you're not insane. I can tell you that, because my mind's straight. And I can remember the first horse I ever seen. To P Island up here. You know what that's at, the Game
Yeah.
Warden Refuge? Okay. They were black people there. And
At that life-saving station.
Huh?
The Island Life-Saving
Yes.
Station.
And P Island, yeah, P Island. And they were colored people there. Well, I'd heard of the colored people, but I had never seen a black man. And I had started over to my grandmother's. That was on the east side of the road, and we were on the west side of the road. Which it was all sandy, sandy roads and all. And I looked at, and I had a great grandmother who lived south of where my brother built his first home. And I was scared so bad that when I seen these three men coming up the road on a horse, every one of them had a horse. They were one was in each car track and one in the center of the track. And these black men, oh my Lord, I thought the Dickens was after me, or the devil was after me, and I ran behind my great-grandmother's house, and I was scared, and I listened to see if I could hear them, hear their voices talking, and I can remember me going out around her house and like this from back of it and peeking up the road, because there was no way up the road, so that was the guy. I ran hard as I could because I was scared to come back out.
Oh my God.
And we went over to my dad. That was my dad's mother that lived across on the east side. And to tell my mother, grandmother, what I'd seen, and she laughed. I can hear her right now. My grandfather laughed just as I could. I'd never seen nothing like it, because you didn't get off the island like it to see nothing like it.
Were they in uniform?
It seemed me like that they had. It seemed me like they had. I don't know whether it was navy blue, would be navy blue, or khaki shirts that seemed me like they had on. I'm not too sure. Seemed me like that one of them had on a khaki shirt, and I'm not too sure. I'd be scared to tell it, but they did have dark pants on. They did have dark pants on.
And you had seen horses, right? 'Cause
Right
that's
here,
how people got
yeah,
around.
yeah. People had
Yeah.
horses here. Had their cattle. They had that, and we had a man who lived up the next village ways that had cattle in a pound. Now where they're building all them big houses up there, they were what they call the cow pen. He would kill a beef and sell it through the neighborhoods here. I can remember him selling Mom a piece of beef and all. Now people in the neighborhood here had hogs.
Oh.
Had hogs, my dad had hogs, and they would kill them, and he'd make his own bacon, smoke his bacon, and his hams and things like that.
Right.
Oh yeah, very, very, very nice. And if you want to know the truth, I feel like the food them days was better than it is today, because today they use so much chemicals or whatever, preserves
Yeah.
for to it. Like a chicken today is born, is hatched out. In 2 weeks' time, it's for the market, or 3 weeks' time, it's for the market. Well, you know that chicken didn't grow on that feed. It alone, it had to grow on chemicals they give it.
Yeah, they give it hormones.
Yeah, and the beef is the same thing. So really, you know, years when I was growing up, it could have been that they had cancers and things, but we didn't know about it then, like we do today. But I do believe the food today that we eat, I do believe is against you a lot of ways. Yep,
Yeah.
I do believe
Yeah,
that.
I think so too.
And I used to be a finicky eater, I suppose. Well, I was raised to. If we had a pot of beans, we had a pot of beans in our bread, and I drank coffee or tea, whatever. Mom drank coffee and Daddy drank tea, so we had both. And water. Water was my main drink, and like it is now, with my meals. So I love water, and it's very healthy for you and all. And if we had chicken, and Mom had potatoes, she'd make potato salad or mashed potatoes and things like that. You know, you had your bread. It wasn't no 2 meals. When I have company now, I have I'll say a great big ham, and I have 3 or 4 chickens cooked, or big roast beef, and all the potato salad and mashed potatoes and gravy and cranberry sauce and everything under the sun. You know, and all kinds of pickles and all. You know, when I have company. And used to, you couldn't do that. And had their own chickens. We had our own eggs, and so we had our bacon stuff too, and ham, and no, we were allowed with the fowl. You know, the geese and the ducks. Daddy could kill that, and we could have that, and you know, and oh, well, clams, oysters, and believe it or not, I like oysters, but I do not like them cooked. I like them raw, and I don't like the old big squelpy ones. I call it old big ones. I like them fat like that.
Right.
And and I want to open them myself. I don't want you to open them. I want to open them myself. Put them in a bowl and put vinegar, pepper, and salt, and Texas Pete on them. Man, that's good eating to me. And and a glass of water with that.
Right.
And I like crackers with them. I like the saltine crackers with them, and all. But like potatoes, a lot of times Mom would stew potatoes, and we'd have a piece of salt pork, and she would dry out the salt pork. And when I say dry out, is to fry it in the skillet a little bit to get the grease. We put in the stewed potatoes, and a lot of people I think calls them more or less like a potato soup. But potato soup today, they put carrots and different things in it.
Right.
And which she would put onions in it. People around here would put onions in it.
I bet that was good.
Yeah, oh yes.
Do you have her old recipes? Do you cook with her recipes?
I have I have different recipes. I'll have to get them out. I'll get them out and see what I can find of hers. And
Well, I was just wondering if she had
send-
passed them on
let
to
'em-
you, or if she
Well,
kept them all in her head, or.
No. She had 'em. And I'll see if I can get them, and I'll mail them to you.
Aw.
I'll mail them to you because I think I still got your address.
Oh,
I'm quite sure I
nice.
have, and I'll send them to you. But I've got what they call a poor man's pudding. It's in here, I think, several ways in our cookbook that different people. Now I got on up the road. She puts figs in her poor man's pudding. Now, I never heard of it until the last few years that she and one of the women from Ways put figs in it. It'll make it moist, but I prefer the old timey cook it. That's the way I do it. And all. Which I eat a lot of onions. And I don't eat the fresh garlic, but I use a lot of garlic in my cooking, and I use a lot of Mrs. Dash garlic and the herbs. I use a lot of that. I love all that stuff. I love hot, spicy foods. And I like a lot of mustards, and I try different mustards. You know, like the hot and the honey and all of that. I use every bit of that and all.
Yes,
and,
I like that stuff too.
Oh yes, and very, very good and all. But and the kids around here nowadays, the kids goes to is let go to your home to spend the day. When I was growing up, I was allowed to go play. If I went to a little girl's house to play, I was only allowed 1 hour. When that hour was up, I knew to be home on time, and I had to leave your home time enough to be home when the clock struck that hour. and I didn't go back out to play. I played to my home in the yard and in the house, but I wasn't allowed to go to your home no more to play. And Mama, many a time when we were growing up, she would take us by the hand, get up real early mornings and get our clothes washed and boil them in an old pot, her white ones and all. Rinse them real good and get them on the line, and then she would clean the house. And as I grew older, I had to help do that, and sweep the floors and scrub the floors. Then the floors was like our kitchen floor is today, and all of that, and help take clothes in, help fold them up. I was very young when I learned to iron, and I stood on a little old wooden box for to stand to. We didn't have no sink, to the table to wash the dishes. I had a pan to wash them in, pan to rinse them in, a pan to turn them bottom up in. Oh yeah, I had to do that.
So you had to bring in water from a well or a cistern?
Oh yes,
or something?
We had a well and had a pump too. Had a well. We had the well, and when I was growing up, till we had. I can remember when we had the stamps that we had to get shoes with. Oh yeah, different foods with. Oh yeah.
Oh, was that from World War II?
Yeah. I can remember all this stuff.
Yeah.
I can remember that Charlie Williams down here, which the old man Charlie's dead, and used to bring a truckload of food in, and we were allowed sometimes with a half a stick of butter, sometimes a stick of butter per family, and it's just according to how many was in your family.
Right.
If we had like a family of 5 or 6, we got a whole stick, and like the 4, we get a half a stick. And such stuff is that. I can remember, and when we take it home, Mom would put it in a jar, seal it up, put a rope around it, and put it down in the well, and to keep it cool. And I remember our ice box that we had was the old-timey ice box. You open it, and in the bottom the water would come out as your ice would melt in a bowl thing. We had kerosene stove. I
Did
can
you
remember
save
that.
the water?
From the
Ice?
No. Believe it or not, before I'd eat a piece of the ice, I'd wash it off. It come from the harbor at the Road Anthony. They made their ice there.
Oh, they did?
And I think they shipped the ice into us. I think that's how it was. Yeah, by boat. That's how it was. Yes.
Oh, and Rodanthe was where things would get shipped in and out of here because of the harbor.
Now the
there.
mail used to come in out here.
Oh, okay.
The mail boat used to come
Right
so
off
far.
of Salvo?
So far, and in our cookbook, in the last cookbook, it shows, I think, the fish house out there, and what they call the mail lead. Don't ask me. It's a channel, I suppose.
Right.
Where the old boat used to come, and then Leslie's grandfather and them, different ones would. I think his grandfather was the main one. Would take a little boat, shove out to the main boat, and get the mail, and bring it shore.
Right.
And believe it or not, this house here, not this part. This part here is where the mail was carried to. This part here of our house came from across here. You'll see a house here and the trailer there, and then over back of that you'll see a big house, and beyond that big house you'll see there is where my house came from.
Really?
And Leslie and his father pulled it here by what they call bedways and rollers. Now, Hatteras
Bedways?
Island people would know what that is. That is rollers, like
Write that
logs,
down.
and they have block and fall, like they hoist the boats up out of the water with. Okay, they'd have that, and what they would do, they'd have anchors. They'd have to pull it so far, believe it or not, in through here. In through here was, this house went here then, and neither was this trailer. But you better believe it was something getting it through poison ivy. My husband had to go get treatments for poison ivy after he got it here.
Did you say bedways?
Yeah, bedways. What I mean is rollers, like big logs,
Yeah.
and boards.
Okay.
And they pull it so far, then they'd have to take the fall again, the 2 falls. Then they'd have to come back to it and take the anchor up, come back and hook it again, pull it so far again until they got it here. Oh yeah, didn't have no porch on it. Didn't have no porch.
Basically they're pulling ropes.
Pulling, oh yeah, by hand.
That were tied up to these pulley things.
Yeah. That's how we got it
I
here.
was just thinking about it last night because I know people move houses around like crazy, and I thought,
Well,
how
this
in
house,
the world?
our house came from Rodanthe.
Oh, really?
Years ago, before the Pugh family owned it, it came from Rodanthe,
Uh-huh.
north of Rodanthe, and that's how they got it down here too, which they had more help than what we had. And when we bought this, we paid $150 for it, believe it or not. It was the upstairs, 2 rooms upstairs, and the 2 rooms here, which we built out on the setting room. Where my
Right.
mom's chair's at, where this window's at, where my mom's at, that was the petition across there.
Ah.
That was the biggest the setting room was.
Right.
So what we did, we had to use the upstairs for our bedrooms, and this was a bedroom, and we used that as a kitchen.
Oh,
We had a gas stove, which when we first moved here, what we had to do, because ours was in such shape, we had a 3-burner oil stove, and we had a little oven, a little bake oven about like that on one of the burners. That's how we did. And we had the electricity, we got the electricity in our house right after, not too long after we moved in here. But we had, the windows that was in this house, when we bought it, was done like this. It wasn't straight at all. And I
Really?
often say, I would say to Lester, you reckon these people had a plane or a level? And that part of the house, the whole side there, except the front, beyond Mom, is put together with wooden pegs.
Really?
When we were remodeling, Leslie saw it, and this thing popped out of the wall, and I said to him, what in the world was that? And when we looked, it's a wooden peg, and what it is, it's just the same as this chewing gum is. And you take this is round, and you sharpen it.
So that was a nail, just the wooden peg.
The only nails that we found was upstairs, and they were square nailed all over. How in the world they drove them things in wood, I don't ever know. Which they said they were more or less for boats,
Oh, right.
the square nails, but they had to use what they could use. There wasn't no paint on this house whatsoever except the upstairs, and one room had, when we bought it, looked like old gray paint on it. It's what it looked like. And Leslie's aunt went to the woman who owned the home, was old and was feeble, and Leslie's aunt went to stay with her to help take care of her, and the upstairs north room was her bedroom, and Leslie painted it. But the windows that was in this house was panes about like that. They were 6 across like this, 6 little glasses across them, little wooden panes down between them like that. And it was very neat. The windows very neat. And believe it or not, today we could get fortunes for those windows. Oh yeah, we could. People would buy them and paint them. I've seen them in people's houses, just to hang in. Like you see the things in my windows in there, hanging and all.
And they're still upstairs?
Oh no, we've remodeled the whole thing and got new windows all over our whole house now. Oh yeah. But this from this door out is brand new, which the steps in came down this way, right inside the door here, and came down, and you had to step way up just like this to get on the steps. There were only about 3 steps.
What
So
year
you
do you
can
think that was built, this house?
This house, they said, well, Leslie's mother's been dead, I think about, I've done forgotten how many years she's been dead, but anyway, she told us years before she ever died that this house was way over 100 years old, and we talked to some old people to ways, which they're all dead and gone now, that it was way over 100 years old, and we really don't know exactly, because the old people is dead, and there's no history that I know anything about it, because I don't know who owned it to Ruth Anthony.
But it was certainly in the 1800s.
Oh yeah, way back, and all. But
did you buy it as a newlywed couple?
No, Lord, no. We'd been married. Let's see. We lived with my mom. We lived with his mother, and then we moved out and moved into his aunt's or his uncle's home up the road there off the Blue Whale, right across the Blue Whale. And we stayed there, I think, about a year and a half, I must say. It may have been 2 years. And his aunt's husband was in the Navy Yard in Virginia, Portsmouth, and she was going to move up there with him and wanted us to move in and take care of her house. So we did that, and we stayed there about a year, and then from there we moved to my mom's, and I had Dora May. Is that right? Yeah, I had Dora May, the oldest girl. She was about, let's see, and then I was pregnant with Sharon when I moved here. Yes, I had one child when I moved here, and then she was about a year old, 2 year old, and when I moved here, then I got pregnant with the oldest girl now. See, Dora May got killed. She got killed down the road here, right in front of my aunt's home. The Navy lieutenant ran her and hit her in here. And
was she young?
She was 5 years old. She would have gone to school. She was 5. The 26th died or this happened in April, that the 26th day of June she would have been 6-year-old,
A
and she would
lieutenant?
have gone to school.
Was he in a Jeep?
No, he was in a station wagon. He had 2 babies of his own. One was in the mother's arms in the back seat, but playpen. The baby was in the
Right.
playpen of the other one. And what had happened? His trailer had just gone through here, and they were transferring him from the Navy base here to Little Creek, and he was
Right.
going to be put on a ship to send out. And he was speeding and hit her. And I don't know. It had to be the grace of God that saved Sharon and myself. I was walking across the road. Leslie had just put me out and going down to the harbor, and he had the little boy. He had Jimmy with
Right.
him and his father, and I had the 2 girls. And so I had what's the name, Sharon by this hand and Dorme by this hand. And you know how kids will pull you like that? And that's what she was doing. This one was pulling that way, and this one this way. Come along and hit her. Didn't he touch me or Sharon, either one?
Oh my
No,
gosh.
it's over 190-some feet. From Jania's house up to the end of the ditch there to the church. And but
So the roads must have been paved then for him to be going that
Oh, yeah.
fast.
The doctor said that if she'd lived, she'd been a vegetable because the fluid ran off in her brain and all. But we went to court. Naturally you have to go to court over things like it. A lot of times you don't want to,
Yeah.
but a lot of them wanted me to send him off, and I said nothing doing.
Right. Oh.
You can't do stuff like that.
No.
One wrong don't make 2 rights,
Right. Oh.
Lord help me. And so I told him, no, that man cracked up.
He did.
They had to kick him out of the Navy. And I
That's
said, I
something
felt
he's
so.
always had to live with too.
And how about his wife?
Ugh.
The little kids didn't know about it, but she did. She had to face it, pain and dad, and face him too. They
Yeah.
kicked him out of the Navy,
Oh, they
and I've often
did.
wondered where he was at and how I could get in contact with his wife.
Right.
And it might be best that that I couldn't get in contact with him or something, But I did not. All I asked for was his insurance would pay her burial expenses and the doctor's bill where we had to take her to him, and the insurance paid off. And I said, forget it. Don't bother me no more about having him charged, because
Just wanna
like I
let
say,
that go.
one wrong does not make 2 rights.
Right.
And I felt like that. I don't feel like that man intentionally do it. I know that he was a lieutenant, and I know that man knew better than to speed and things like that. But what he was trying to do, he had to be to Little Creek at a certain time, and his trailer was above him, and he was trying to get up with the trailer that was pulling her out of here to get ahead of him, to get Little
Right.
Creek first, and all. But
Did he claim he didn't see you?
no, he didn't. He didn't exactly. I didn't go on stand. I told him, I said, I don't want to go on stand. I told the lawyer, I said, I'm not going on stand, and don't ask him no more questions than you have to. Just leave the man alone. He broke and things, and he apologized. He was very sorry for it. And the Navy, they were higher officials, had him there and things like that. I said, let him go. He's got 2 kids he's got to support, and got a wife too, and all. And things like it is hard. Down through the years, if she'd lived, she would be. Let's see. If she'd lived, she'd been about 51-year-old now. 51, 52. But you get over things, but it lightens up on you. But you never forget things. You never forget it. I can't stand here kids if they're outdoors and they scream. Oh, that's the awfulest racket I ever heard in my life. Don't like to hear the brakes of a car skidding on the road and things like that. And that's why I hate. I do not hate rain and snow and stuff, because I feel like that's God's creation. But I don't like to see in the winter months rain. I don't like to see it in the summer months, but the roads doesn't freeze. And because I'm always scared, of accidents and things like that. We have so many. And it bothers me, about people skidding on the highway and wondering about the kids playing out this side of the road. They may get hit.
Yeah.
All this stuff goes through your mind, but I can't take to hear people scream.
No.
That bothers me very bad to hear them scream. She didn't scream. She didn't have time to scream. and all, and I just went hayward and stayed hayward like that for about 2 years. Now when I say hayward, they had put me in bed and the doctor doped me down, and I never come out of it till the day they buried her, or started coming out of it then, and then I was halfway wacky. I couldn't get my own clothes on. My mom had to come in and help bathe me and get my clothes on, which I didn't live here. I was living at Matteo at that time, but we were over to his mother's. We'd come down here for weekends, and but down through life, I feel like a lot of times, like Leslie now, I feel like a lot of times that God lets us go down in the valley, and this is where I feel. I feel like sometimes we have to go in the valley real deep, but I feel like He's always there to pull us back up on the mountain. I feel that.
Yeah.
And things is going to happen to you. We don't know why these things is going to happen. We don't understand, and I don't feel like we're to question God and ask Him, why has it happened to me? No, I don't feel that way. And people say they don't how, that I even can thank the Lord. I've had different women say, how can you be so cheerful? How can you do this and how can you do that? Well, your mom like that, and Leslie like with cancer and all. And I'll tell you this, I do not have no aches and pains. Thank the Lord for that. I have no aches and pains. I'm just tired. I'm wore out. See, I have to pull and haul on her all the time.
Right.
And some days and nights now, I've not slept none tonight. Leslie's been up and down all night long to the bathroom. And it's been about 3 nights now. And people say, I don't know where you do it. You go all day long on your feet and all. And I said, the grace of God.
Yeah.
And all. But so far, He's given me strength, and I feel like that He gives me extra strength. I really do, to do for my mom and do for Leslie. And they say, how do you have time for other people? I said, because God gives me strength to do for other people. If you call on me and I can get to you, I will do my best to get to you somehow and do whatever it is you have asked me to do. But before I do things for people, when people calls on me and asks me to do this and do that, I try to think fast enough to ask the Lord if it would be pleasing to Him for me to do something, because I don't want to do nothing that wouldn't be pleasing to the Lord. So many times we can do things that wouldn't be pleasing to Him, and I don't want that marked on me. And I always ask Him, if it's wrong for me to do this, put a block in my way, a stumbling block that I can't get to, whatever it is, and things. So many times we can say things. I try to think fast enough to ask the Lord when people ask me a question, or like I'm in a conversation with people. I try to think fast enough to ask the Lord to conquer my tongue, that I will not say ill things about nobody, and not take no part in conversation with someone that is gossiping and things like that. I try to think fast enough. But we're human. It's human nature. And a lot of times before you even think, why, you liable to say something.
Right.
And then you've got to repent for it. And if you say something that is bitter against somebody or something other, that's a mark against you. And I feel like that so many times I have done, and they'll be talking about first thing and the other, and then they'll be talking about someone, and I feel like I have participated in that, and I get up and go in the bathroom and ask the Lord if I've done wrong, to forgive me,
Right.
to forgive the ones that's gossiping, things like that. But the Lord has been good to me. I'll be 70 years old the 30th day of July, and I feel like God has blessed me through all of my life. From a little girl up, I've always had plenty of food on the table to eat, even when I was a little tiny thing. I can remember. Like I said, it may have been just beans and bread, but we still had a plenty. We had 3 meals a day, and I had plenty of clothes on my back, and my mom always kept them clean. She always kept the house clean, and as I grew older, when I was 12 years old, I could do a lot of stuff in the house, cleaning, washing, and things like that. And I thank my mom that she taught me all this stuff, because if she hadn't, I would have learned on my own and things, and probably would have made more mistakes than little, which I do make mistakes. I think we all make mistakes in life. about work and doing things. If we'd had it over, we would have painted it this color or something,
Right.
like that. But I thank the Lord for that, and I thank the Lord that my mom was always there for me. My mom was my backbone. After I got married as a young girl, she was my backbone by helping me. And then when I started having children, after I moved in this home here, she would come down after my children even started school. She would work to that motel days and come down here and help me when she'd get home to wash. And I had a wringer type wash machine. I had pump that we fixed our sink and thing, and I'd run water in my wash machine, our tubs and things. But it took a lot of water for them. You had to total your rinse water and things like that.
Now, what motel did she work at?
Hatteras Island, up to the pier, rode out to the pier, which is called something else now. I don't really know what the name of it is, and I live right here day in and day out to the pier.
Oh, is it
pier.
on the sound waves, or the waves and ocean
No.
waves, or ocean sound, or?
No, it's called something else. That's on the ocean side.
Right.
And then there one across the road there from the thrift store, and I forgot what the name of that one is.
Right.
And all, but
And your mother ran that?
no,
motel?
she worked there.
Oh.
She worked there for years. She worked there, I think 20-some or 30-some year and all. But I think here's the way I feel. I don't only feel like that I'm blessed. I feel like you're a blessed person. I do. Whenever you have, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not rich. No way by money wise. I put it that way. But I feel like that my family is rich in love, because all of my kids is the same way that I am, and all. And the grandchildren, a lot of the grandchildren is, and a lot of the grandchildren is distant, but they're all loving. But I feel like we're a blessed people, and like I say, I'm a woman that doesn't need anything
Right.
for his earthly possessions. Everything I've got is electric in my home, all the electric pots and all my electric cook things. You can't mention anything that I've not got. That I've not got, from a waffle iron right on up to an iron to iron my clothes is electric.
So that
See, now I had
fine
to
thing
guess.
that's got good smells coming.
Yeah, that's a little picnic hand. Leslie'd rather have one of them than have the big hand.
Yeah.
And I've got it in there.
Wow.
I'm trying to fix it for lunch. And
Is that a slow
yeah.
cooker?
Well,
Like a
it's
crock
called
pot?
it's called a roaster, and believe it or not, I fix soup in it. It's 18 quart. I fix it like ham bone soup or beef soup in it, and I fix enough of it, which I fix it full, so the children, I can give my children some and all. But I mostly cook my Sunday meal in that, like a roast beef or ham or turkey, whatever. I put right in that. And then I and make my gravy and everything. And if it's a roast beef and I want to put potatoes and carrots in it, I do that too.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and that helps me out, for a Sunday meal and everything like it. But I have everything under the sun, and I've collected everything under the sun. Like I've collected miniature pictures, which you see one about that rooster now, about that high. And here's the pictures up there. Look how little they are. And all antique cups and things. These are old. These cups here is real old. And I've collected the spoons from states, people from everywhere. When they're going off, they brought me souvenirs. And you see a lot of stuff on my wall, and it's been given to me.
Right.
There's lighthouses that you see in that boat shelf there. They were gift to us. And I have cookie jars. You see, this cookie jar looks like a milk jug, and this pig, and that cow over there, I packed away year before last. It's been packed away over a year. I packed it away on December when I was putting up my Christmas tree and decorating my house for Christmas. And what I do when Christmas time comes, all this stuff comes down and is packed in the boxes my Christmas stuff in. And I put all my Christmas things out. Even this stuff here is taken out. And I have Christmas cookie jars. So I took it all down and I packed that cow, this pig, and as I say, and this your jug here. I packed away, and I just found it yesterday, and I got a turkey outfit, and I got the old big platter that's got the turkey and looks like it's built up in, and I had packed that away. And when I packed it away, I packed it in the bottom of the box in newspapers that these cookie jars are in. Now that rooster's a new one.
That rooster's beautiful.
And this is a new. I have the set of dishes that matches that.
Oh.
The only thing I didn't get is I couldn't get saucers with the mugs. It's called a mug, not a cup. and I couldn't get the glasses.
Right.
No, and I've not got the platter yet, and the serving bowls, but I'm trying everywhere I go to
Yeah.
get them. I don't really need them. And in that cabinet over there is the country, what is it called? The country goose. I have a set of dishes, even to the glasses in there. The butter dish, the pepper and salt shakers, the napkin. Here's one of the napkin holders. And I've got the cup. I've got everything.
Yeah.
But the stuff you see on the wall, and I've collected toothpick holders.
Oh.
Oh yeah, pepper, salt shakers. I've collected everything on the side, and I've got them, believe it or not. And those up on that, that is for paper towel and wax paper and things. The rack that it's on. But those little things you see up there, people bought them from different places, like out in the mountains and Florida and around to me. I've got oodles of them. That toothpick holders is what they bought them to me for. But I've got. I went out in that house yesterday, and I've got a wooden crate. It's about like that. It stands about that high. It's slammed full of little cups and mugs and things that's been bought to Leslie and myself from Florida, Mexico, all around for souvenirs. Canada.
You could open a little museum, couldn't you?
Yes. And that china closet there, that's very old. And that was a gift to me from Leslie's uncle and aunt. It came out of New York. And I had a lot more cut glass and stuff, but I've given it to my children and grandchildren.
Right.
And I got a friend out the road here that helps with Mom. She'll come over and spend Wednesdays with Mom, that I can go to Elizabeth City or over in Virginia if I need to go, if I've got to go for anything. And I gave her some of my stuff too.
That's
And
nice.
which some of it I had two alike, and some of it I had more than that alike, that I bought people to give me. And I got an uncle that lived in Wanchese, and his wife had a lot of stuff, and he gave me a lot of her stuff. And I had like 2 punch bowls and things like that. And
Right.
the punch bowls ain't in here. I packed them away because you don't use punch bowls every day. I let the church use them or weddings.
You go to the Assembly of
my
God
church,
church.
yeah.
Were you and Leslie married in that church?
No, I wasn't married in a church at all. I was married to Elizabeth City before the, what do you call him?
Magistrate.
He was
Justice
a
of the Peace?
Justice of the Peace, I do believe.
Yeah.
I think that's what he would call him. Yes. I got married 7th of November. It's 49. That's when I got married. And just a baby, you might as well say. I didn't want to go to school.
How old were you?
I was 16, pretty nigh 17 years old, and I didn't want to go to school. And I figured, well, Rich, you regret your school years after you quit. And I wanted to graduate, but I didn't want to go to school. That's how it was. And I just hated school for some reason. But today, I see my mistakes. I should have gone on and finished school.
Yeah.
Like my daddy, it broke my daddy and mom's heart. I got married just the same, and I don't regret my married life. I
Did
don't
you know
regret
Leslie
that.
your whole life growing up? Yeah. And you went from Elsie Hooper to being Elsie Hooper.
Yeah. Yes, well, when we were growing up, it was more or less like one big family through here. Gene and Bert. Have you been over Bert's yet?
Yeah, not today, but I am going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bert and Gene, all of us was just like that.
Yeah.
All the children in the neighborhood. Well, you might as well say we growed up together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And when I was growing up, I had good church. Oh, yeah. When I growed up, there wasn't no cars, running like they are now, that the people scared for to let you go on to Sunday school. And I'd go to Sunday school out here. This church was 10 o'clock. And then as I growed older, they had a worship service at 11 o'clock. Down to the Methodist church, it was the 11 o'clock worship service. And then 2 o'clock was their Sunday school. So I went to Sunday school out here at this church, and I had my preference. I could go here for worship service or the Methodist church. But I went to one or the other.
Right.
And the crowd got together, and most of the time we'd go to church together, and we'd go to the Methodist church for their worship service. That evening at 2 o'clock, I was back in Sunday school again. And that night was church again, one of the other churches ever which. And both of them had church. And which now what it is to the Methodist church, the pastor has 3 churches. He has the whole Kennebec section. He has Road Anthony Methodist Church, Salvo, and Avon. So they don't have church every night here like they used to.
Okay.
Now our church does. We've not closed our doors on Sunday nights. I hope they never do.
Right.
But a lot of the churches is closed on Sunday nights. They don't have no midweek service. Now we do. We have our Wednesday night prayer meeting, which is preaching and all that too. A lot of praying. But
Do you remember, did they ever have the camp meetings?
oh
or the,
yeah, Oh, yeah, they
On
had
the
camp
beach?
meetings. But I can't remember, it seems like I can, but I think it's more or less like hearing people talk.
Oh, right.
Because mothers used to take their children right along with them. They stay for weeks at a time.
So that was
Avon.
more of your mother's
Mhm,
generation
mhm.
when they had
Yep.
this. Yeah.
And I was born in 33. I was born at the time that they were having them, but I don't remember ever getting, I was too little for to remember getting to one and
Right.
all. But I can remember all about revivals around here to the churches and how the churches was and everything. It was an open building. It was sealed, but it was open building. Old coal stove or old wood stove, and had lanterns for lights. So
Oh
stuff
my
is that. I
gosh.
can remember all that. And I remember the organ that was out here in the church. It was one of the pump organs.
Really?
As far as that goes, my brother-in-law owns that now. Oh, yeah, it was a pump organ. I see it right now. And I pull out these things. I can see
And
all that.
the Assembly of God came here at a
Um,
certain, it wasn't too long ago, was it? Maybe?
It's been for years that.
But it was within your lifetime that it came
Well, I was
into
little.
the community.
I was little. Yes, a woman named Chambers
Uh-huh.
and Miss Hurst came down here. Louise Chambers is the first one, and she started it to Avon. And then what it was, they wasn't no church, Assembly of God Church, and they had it in homes,
Okay.
And then
But for
next thing
instance,
you
what
know,
were your parents? Were they Methodist or?
Methodist.
Right.
See, that's all the church they were on the island here was Methodist
So
churches.
why do you think people were able to switch to a new church coming in after having their
Well,
whole life
have
going
come
to this?
to more or less like I would think as my life. I believe in the worship that they have in the assembly. The Bible speaks about talking in tongues. The Bible
Mhm.
speaks about talking in tongues, about shouting of things, and the Assembly of God does that. And I don't believe. I believe you can make a utter um, uh, sign, but if it's not of God, I feel like that you're mocking. Is the way I feel, which I don't know how the other people feels in church because I don't talk to them about it. But I feel like that if you go and you don't feel like the Lord, that the Spirit is moving you, I don't think you should try to do anything.
Right.
Because anybody can chant, is the way I feel. You can chant too. And I feel that. And I believe in clapping your hands. If you feel like clapping your hands or patting your feet, I believe in doing it.
So
And
it just was more of a.
yeah, more of a lot of the Methodist people don't
Spiritual
believe
or
in that.
it
They don't
appealed
want you
to
talking
people.
tongues. They
Yeah.
don't want you talking tongues, and
Oh.
they don't like clapping your hands
Oh,
and such stuff as that. A lot of the Methodist people around here, not all of them's that way.
Right.
Not all of them. I've got an aunt, my daddy's sister-in-law. She's a Methodist member. She's the superintendent here, but she comes to our church a lot too. But she believes in clapping your hands and things like that.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah. And well, the Bible speaks about it. It's not a sin to do it. And people say about getting in heaven, talking in tongues, clapping your hands, and shouting will never get you in heaven. That's not what's going to take you to get in heaven. It's what here,
Mhm.
and it's your belief and the love of God that's going to get you there.
Right.
And that's the way I feel, and that's what I tell everybody.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Now, when
And,
you were coming up, did people get married in the church, or did they make a big deal out of weddings like they do today?
Yeah, they
did.
got married in the Methodist church before
Okay.
we got our church out here. Oh yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah. And which today they get married in both of the churches on the beach hills,
Right.
up to Road Anthony Coast Guard Station, and all around.
Mhm.
I think that's very neat, do things like
And how
that.
about in your mother's time?
They got married in the Methodist church.
Okay.
Oh,
And
that's
how
where
did your
people go.
mother meet your father? She was
Well,
all the way down there in Frisco.
people that was old and needed help, my mother went around like that,
Oh,
and
okay.
they called her to come up here to take care of, to help live in a home and help take care of the people.
Was she a midwife too, or anything, or?
I don't know what they called it them days.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't no midwife. She didn't deliver babies.
Right.
And no, but that's what she did. And then she met my dad, and they got married, and they lived to my grandmom's home. My grandmom's home. My brother was just a infant baby, and the house one Sunday afternoon caught on fire and burnt down. And believe it or not, the only clothes I had, so they tell me, the only clothes that I had was what I stood in. And people from everywhere, my mother could sew, people from everywhere sent her material, and that's how I got my clothes, and she got clothes too. Making my clothes and things like that. But we never got hurt, thank the good Lord. My grandparents was down to Leslie's grandparents. They all seemed to, in the neighborhood, go to his house on Sunday afternoon. They said just shoot the breeze. And they take their kids, and kids was in the home there, and they all played together out in the yard. They had old oaks, I mean, they were old. I can see them right now, and looked like they were deformed. That's what we were. Like they would grow up and curl down like that, and kids would get in the limbs of them, the big, and on the big trunk and things like that. And then that we had to move into home with someone else, and we stayed like it until Dad could get us a home.
Well, why
And
do
our
people?
home was from the Coast Guard station down here to Coast Guard station down south of the Pines.
Right.
And he got, I think it must have been the kitchen part or a big place anyway. And he made rooms in it to make bedrooms, and the dining room and kitchen he had was together. And then the next thing you know, he began to add out on the house until we had a normal house.
So it seemed like back then people, instead of just starting from scratch and building a new house, they would do like y'all did, buy a house, maybe move it, and add on to it. And why
And
was
our home
that?
today, this home, I do not know unless they couldn't get the material in here like they want to.
Right.
This home, my house today is a lot better than this house over here. It's put together much better. This house here is more or less, I don't mean no harm by it, but biggest part of the homes they build today slapped together in just a few days.
Yeah.
And it's put together with nails, guns and things, and a lot of staples and things that don't last. The material don't. We got a friend that is originally from Rodanthe, and he's been living in Hampton for years and years now, and 40-some years, I suppose. And he comes home every now and then, and he got heir to his, he was the last child, and he got heir to his mama's home, and he's built 2 old big huge cottages on the ocean side. And he was home last month, and Leslie and myself had been to Mac's store at the Island Convenience, and was on our way. We went there to get a loaf of bread, and we'd get a Coastline Times. They get our Coastline Times put into them. And we stopped there. And he was out in the yard to his mama's home, so we stopped there to chat with him a while. And we got talking about his new cottages across the road. Now, they come down here. They come down here when they're not rented and stay a lot in the winter months, him and his wife, his children's grown. And when the time that they rent the cottages, they go over to his mother's house until time they're renting that, and then they have to stay out of here until there's nobody in.
Right.
And we were talking to him. He said, "You see those 2 houses across the road?" And we said, "Yes." Said, "I wouldn't stay in one of those in a haircut for nothing." And I knew why. I said, "Why?" He said, "Why, you think you're shaking to pieces in it now when we have a little breeze." He said, "I don't think." I said, "See, that goes to show you they're not put together like they ought to be. See, you don't feel. I don't even know it's raining in this house. Don't hear it. It's the only way I can hear it is if it's hard and hitting a window, and I'm close to it, and I can hear it that way. You do not hear it."
Plus,
No.
everybody wants to be right on the beach now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've not been on the beach in. The last time I went on the beach, Leslie and myself have been up to Mac's. What we do, we go to the post office near the Mac's if we have to get a loaf of bread, fresh loaf of bread, and get our paper and come back. And one day we'd been to the post office and Mac's store, and we rode down the road. We were in the truck and went across the ramp. And went right straight across the ramp and right straight back. I can't even tell you what the beach looks like. It's been that long since I was there. But the tourists thinks we're crazy because the local people don't. A lot of them goes to the beach, like fishing. Leslie did until he's got where he can't do it now.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, I went on the beach, and I never learned how to swim. I stayed in the water, either while on that side or this side. Why I didn't drown? None of the girls. Please give. Jean did not learn to swim. Her sisters never learned how to swim. None of us that we growed up together learned how to swim around here. But we stayed in the water all the time.
Just wade and play.
The boys would be with us, and they'd knock us down. We'd think we were going to drown.
What kind of things did y'all do for fun as girls?
What, when we were growing up?
Yeah.
Well, we were like to go to each other's house, and then when we got up teenagers, we went to each other's house, and we would have we would cook fudge, pool candy. Now I don't know where you know what pool candy is or not.
Is it saltwater taffy?
No, it would be something like it, only it's harder. It's made with sugar and vinegar. And you boil it, and then when you have to take lard, grease on your hands so it won't burn you, and pull it until it gets stiff, and then you break it off in little taffy pieces, whatever, hard candy. Like, and I've got the recipe somewhere. I'll have to find that, and I'll send that to you too.
Yeah.
And but we did that, and the boys and girls was included with us, in the homes with us, and we'd go to each other's home and do that, and then we have we'd have tea and cookies, homemade cookies and things and such stuff as that, and we were let out, which there weren't people around here that you were scared to allow your children out after dark in the yard to play, but we would get out and play and run around and do things like that. We were allowed to go on the beach when we got up a little age on us with the group. We were allowed to go on. We'd have what they call bonfires, and we'd have like hot dogs, marshmallows, and we'd take anybody's coat hangers we could take. I said if the parents knew we were taking their coat hangers, they would have hung us.
So it's more or less a pack of youngins. So
yes, they got together.
Different ages, and you just gang up
we all
and do stuff.
Yep.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
then as we got older and knew what clam bakes were, what we would do, someone would build us like a bonfire. We would roast clams and such stuff as that. Oh yeah. And then after we got up sure enough, teenagers, that we could be allowed to, out, without feeling like that we were endangering, we would have dances, parties, and things to the old schoolhouse, what is the community building Road Anthony now, like Valentine parties. And what we would do, we'd all chip in them days and just throw a quarter in. If we had a quarter, if we didn't have a quarter, if we had a nickel, we'd throw the nickel in. If not, we didn't have no money, we'd share just like you did if you had $40. Everybody shared alike, and we'd buy like drinks. Mostly was orange or grape, and we would all share. We would have we'd take our little cups and things from home that we could have, and we'd have dances and all kinds of stuff like that is what we would do, and out taking pictures of one another.
And was it kids from Waves and Salvo that were all together, and Road Anthony?
Mostly was Salvo until we got where we would walk from here to Waves and Road Anthony. The kids would. Yeah. And on Christmas time we went what they call serenading. We'd dress up, and I never would put nothing over my face because I couldn't breathe that good.
Serenading?
Yeah, that's what they call it. And we'd go from house to house. We'd dress up in old clothes and high heel shoes. I got a brother-in-law over here, the youngest one, and Jean's brother, Earl, and they dress up in their mother's clothes. Oh, they put a bra on and packed herself and a hat on with a veil on it, and they'd paint their face sometimes. They'd paint their face black.
Right.
And they put high heel shoes and stockings on. Oh, you should see. And there are pictures floating around here in the neighborhood somewhere, so I know of the crowd. And then we got old enough that we could go from our neighborhood to Ways, and we were allowed to walk together. There was no highway, it was dirt roads. Right. And we'd walk and we'd go to people's homes up there that would want us to come in, and people would have pies and cakes for us and drinks and all. No. This was
serenading was separate.
Yes, it was.
Just
Old Christmas was
like
to the schoolhouse, what they call schoolhouse to the school. No, this was a thing that our crowd done in the neighborhood every year.
What time of year?
It was around Christmas.
Oh, okay, it's like your own separate little thing that you do.
And Old Christmas was always to Road Anthony, as far as I know. It was old Buck and all that stuff was up there. And I went as I got a little older. I was allowed to go to Old Christmas, but I only went a few times because I was scared of the drunks. They had a lot of fights, and it was family fights. It was like uncle against a nephew, such stuff as that, brother against brother.
People settling the family feuds.
They get mad with each other because they were drunk, and there's no telling what they would say to the other one, and the other one would sock him a good one. And such stuff as that, I couldn't take that. And of course it bothers me to see things like it, so I didn't go. And then after Leslie and myself got married, we went up there one time, and they always have their oyster roast. And we went up there one time, was going to eat some oysters, and I told Leslie, I said, if it's a sin to me to to take part with their drinking all it's into me come up here to eat oysters.
As much as
it's
you
all
love
that-
oysters,
yeah,
right?
I said it's all the same thing, it's all participate. So I quit going. And my children's never been.
Oh.
I've got 3 children, they've never been. Now the Bertie Kay, my baby daughter's baby one, she's married to one of the midgets up the road Anthony, and she goes. And she stays so long, and her children go. She takes her little girl and little boy, and they stay so long that if they get rowdy, she goes out. She goes home.
Right.
But her sister has never been. She has no desires to cooperate with anything like it. She doesn't want to participate in things like that. And then I've got, let's see, not either one of the children, not even to my boys been, and his children has not been.
Right.
And my oldest daughter's children has never been.
Ah.
No, they have no desire to participate.
Now, when did the serenading stop happening? Do you know?
When, I don't remember of anybody ever doing it. Now, they used to have what they call nigger minstrels, which we can't use that word now. Oh, Lord, they cut our heads off,
I think Leslie was telling me about that.
They'd have that till old Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know where that's where we got the ID from or not.
Oh, yeah.
And the boys.
But it's interesting that y'all kind of came up with your own
I
thing.
wish we had the pictures. I've not got no pictures, but I'm sure somebody around's got. I don't think I do, but I'm sure somebody in the neighborhood's got. The boys used to take what they call gum boots. You know what they are? They're hip boots.
Oh, right.
And which I never called them that, but they would call them that. And they take and cut the top part, the flap. You know how it come up and fasten to your belt.
Yeah.
They'd cut that off of a boot, and the boys would cut holes in it so their eyes and their mouths, cut their mouth, and cut nostril holes like that, and they put that on their face so no one could tell who they were. You see, we dressed so you wouldn't know who we were.
Right.
And I was a scaredy cat. I never would do nothing like that. No, I'd dress up, I'd put clothes on, and paint on my face and all, but I would never put nothing on my face because I couldn't breathe like that. And, foolish things like that. I'd see us laughing at each other right now.
And you just go trucking around to
Oh,
people's
yeah.
houses, eat
Knock on the
pies
door. Knock on the door. Oh, yes, we had a wonderful time. There were different things that we did to amuse ourselves. And then, of course, the road here where Edward and William lives back at the post office. That's Leslie's mother's home. And right next door to them was their aunt's home. She was a preacher out here.
Oh, right.
And Miss Lucy.
Yeah.
And the woman who preached out here too, Louise, which her home was over in here. These houses over here belonged to her. And she built a store. Miss Lucy built a little old store. And they called it the Sweet Shop. And then they made homemade ice cream in the old big freezers then, and we'd go down there and get us a coma ice cream. Oh yeah, after she started storing and stuff was shipped in there. Oh yeah, just sit there, and she had little booths built in the store, and she had a grocery store, and then what they call the Sweet Shop was built right on it, a room on it. We could go in there and eat ice cream and get us a drink, and we've done it many a time. Get us a lemon, and take a piece of stick peppermint candy, which that don't taste to me like it did then when I was a child, which I don't reckon anything does. Yeah. And we'd bore a hole in that lemon, and we'd take that stick of candy and put down in there, and we'd suck that candy in the lemon juice.
Oh my gosh.
It's just anything, but it was good. And my brother got a bicycle. I was always scaredy cat over everything. And I just remember seeming like he worked, and he worked till from the time he was old enough he could hold his head up and everything. That's not so. That's a story. But he was very young. He fished with my dad, and he fished with my grandfather and different ones. And he'd make money, and he bought him a bicycle. And how I learned to ride a bicycle was in the nighttime in the dirt road. Oh yeah, in the nighttime. They'd get me on that bicycle and shove me down. Because I was a scaredy cat.
And it's hard to ride in the sand anyway.
Oh, yeah. And today, I can ride a little bit, but not too much. I wouldn't even go out on the highway on a bicycle now. I'd be scared that I'd fall in the path of a car, And
now, when did you get involved in the auxiliary, the ladies' auxiliary?
About 60, we started our fire department here in about 62 or 63.
Right.
I think that's when it was. About 63, I'll say. And it may have been later than that, to tell you the truth. And also the first president of the Ladies Auxiliary, and Anna Midget from Ways was the first treasury.
Mhm.
And
it
I
was always
believe
the Salvo. It wasn't the Chickamaucomico.
no, we wasn't. We were involved with them, but we broke up and come to our own. See, they didn't have no Far Eyes till late years. We had our Far, and the first year that I was president, they appointed me in April. We started our meetings here in a home, and they appointed me president. And we started out working, and I took my cousin with me. I had my driver's license too, and we'd go from one end to the other of the island. And my mother did a crochet cover about like that, and we'd go take draws on it. We'd take their name, and we'd have our little coupons we'd made, and it was like 50 cents a draw, and we made $68 on the first thing we ever tried to make money on, and that was enough to get us going with the little minor things. And then we decided that we'd start having fish fries. We didn't have no money to have the fish fries with, and the man who ran the marina over here at that time trusted us. He ordered I had to sit down and figure how much how many potatoes we would need for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, for the fish fries, and how much cabbage, and it was £50 a day. And what I'd do, I'd take the £50 for Friday, and I'd take them and divide them up, and the women folks would take them, peel them, dice them, boil them, carry them to the fish shack on Friday morning. They do it Friday morning early, fish shack, and Jean over here would help mix the potato salad, and then we all shredded mostly Jean and May and myself did the shredded cabbage.
Right.
We put it in bags and things, and put it in our refrigerator.
What's the fish shack? The fish house?
We built it was a little house built for us to have fish fries in, and they just called it the fish shack.
Just for the auxiliary?
Oh yeah. We had a we had
Is it still there?
No, the house is down to my aunt's, and they give it to her, and used for a little outhouse or a back house, whatever you want, outhouse I call it, and all. But we had a double stainless steel sink. We had our fish vat for the fish and the hush puppies. And we had our refrigerator. We had everything. We had it modern, just like you would in your home, not as fancy as And we had our plates, paper plates and things like that, and all of our plastic eatware and paper cups. We had coolers to make tea in, and we had them old big pots like this, like that. That's what we mixed our cabbage in. We mixed our hush puppies too. I had a lady who sat down with me that we together would figure out. We took a hush puppy recipe off in a bag of meal, or hush puppy mix, and we went by that. And what we had to do, we had to figure up for 500 people how many hush puppies it would take and how much material it would take. And we'd use like 12 dozen eggs.
How'd you figure 500 people?
Well, we didn't know exactly, but the first fish fry we put on, it was way up in the hundreds that we fed that day.
And it was basically Red Anthe, Waves, and Salvo villagers coming?
No, it was tourists.
Really?
Oh, yeah. When Easter came that year in April, we started our first fish fry. We made enough money in one summer that we put our far house up. That's our far house, not the far hall, but the far house.
Right.
And Erie's Waterfield, I don't know whether you know him or not, from Buxton. He did the running the blocks, and Jim was young, and a few of the other young boys helped put the sand into an old cement mixer. It's hand going, and such stuff as that for to run the floors, and such stuff as that. And we got it going, and we started having our meeting there instead of homes, and all. But we kept right on having our fish fries, and then when September come, Labor Day was our last fish fry. And then we'd start doing something else. We'd have different dinners, and the ladies would do things to try to sell. Then it was right amongst local people in the 3 neighborhoods, and down, right on down to ferry docks.
So you'd have this fish fry all summer, like maybe once a month?
We had that for years, and then it got to be a hassle because we couldn't get the fish. The fish would cost us so much that we felt like.
Where were you getting the fish at first?
Hatteras Island, or Hatteras Village. From the
so they weren't donated, you had to buy.
Very seldom we had any fish donated. Very seldom we had anything donated to us for our fish fries.
Right.
And then on Friday, the Methodist Church down here would have a bake sale. And on Saturday, it was all homemade bakes. And on Saturday, the Ladies Auxiliary put on a bake sale. It was always homemade bakes, and there was cupcakes, and sometimes we'd have fudge and cakes and pies, and such stuff as that.
Did the women cook the fish when you fried it, or did the men fish?
Well, we had a man would do the fish, and the ladies would do the hush puppies, and sometimes if they wasn't no man available, he was out doing something else, the ladies would chip in and do the fish.
Would it be trout or bluefish or?
Trout, bluefish, different things like that we had.
Gosh.
Oh yeah.
You don't have those anymore?
No. The mission team from the Hatteras Island mission team was having fish fries, and we had about 3 or 4 last year, and Leslie, got down so bad with cancer and all, and I was the main woman, which I was the only woman, and Jim was mostly the only man. We were the main two, and then we had and everybody begged for the help to come in, and the people who go on mission team didn't help us too much, So we had to cut him out because Jim felt like I had too much on me, and I had to have his daughter to come over to stay with Mom, to help with Mom and watch Leslie too, and she would try to get him something to eat and things. She was on 14.
Do you still have auxiliary meetings?
Oh yeah, our ladies auxiliary. Oh yeah. Leslie stays for me to go. Yeah, I'm very active in that.
Once a month?
Once a month, every third Thursday. And we have that, and the ladies has a group out here.
All these years for the fire department, right?
And the ladies auxiliary out here. The ladies out here. It's called Women's something group, and I participate in that whenever I can. There are nights that I can't. That'll be this coming Thursday, first Thursday of the month, and
what is
we
that?
enjoy that. Yeah, well, it's more or less we support missions everywhere, and we take on special like one family missions that's out on the mission fields. We'll take one family and support him fully, and we have what they call a penny project. This is in all the Assembly of God churches. I don't know about what they do to the Methodist churches to their meetings, and we have banks out. The kids has banks that looks like little Bibles. Some of them's little and some of them's big, and they put their pennies and change in it, and they bring it to church, and all the change that goes in that collection plate belongs to the ladies, to the women's group. And believe it or not, this little church out here sends more money in than any of the Assembly of God churches, even to the big ones up on Nagsay Beach. In this district, we're in the 5th district, and ours is this church. You wouldn't think so for it to be a little church, but people
That's great. That's amazing.
But the ladies does different things like helping people. We take up collection every night, and we do. We take it if you're in need of groceries. Our church is a very helpful church. It helps everybody. People wouldn't think so to look at it, and if they went inside, no more people than I wish our churches growed a lot, but no more people's in there. You would say, how in the world can you afford to pay somebody's light bill, or how can you afford to buy them gas to cook on, or how can you afford to buy them a box of groceries? But our church has always done it, and we still do it. Oh yeah, we support kids to school. We support them. Their fund goes out for help buy, like if you got 2 children and you can't afford to buy paper. We have a lot of mothers that don't have no help, that their father's not with them, and they're a fund to our school that the churches can participate in that by donating money to them to help buy crayons, pencils, material that the class that child's in, that if he can't pay for it, they have the funds to pay for it. They buy
who runs
for
that little thrift store up in Rodanthe?
That is the fire department and the woman's. The main one is Imadio, that thrift store one.
Okay.
And the main what they do is like shelter.
Oh, right.
The money they take in here. So much of how they done it though, when they wanted Rodanthe to start, the women folks told them that the only way we'll do it is if so much of the money will go to our fire department over here, because they don't have no ladies auxiliary for their fire department.
They don't have a ladies auxiliary?
No, they don't have no ladies. They have 2 or 3 women that's a fireman. See, my daughter-in-law over here, she's a fireman just like my son. No, here to Salvo.
Okay.
But up to Rodanthe, they don't have no ladies auxiliary, so that's how the ladies support their fire department.
How do they ever afford to build their place then?
Well, tax money. And So what they did, that's how they do it, and so much is give to batter women. You know, they take women in that's been beat.
Right.
Take their children in and such stuff. It's that shelter for them.
When did the
and
two
all.
fire departments split? Weren't they one at a
Yeah,
long time
we
ago?
were together when we first started out. We were with Rodanthe, and it got where it was. Well, it was different bickering, I guess you would say.
Right.
And they didn't want it this way, and they didn't want it that way, and so Salvo pulled out. When Salvo pulled out, some of the members from Waves pulled out from them too.
And what year about was that? Is that in the 60s or?
That was in the 60s.
Okay, so they're.
Our fire department, I don't know where. I don't know if we didn't start our fire department later than 63. What did I tell you? 63.
63 maybe.
I think we were with Rodanthe in 61, like that. I think I might have made a mistake. It may be later years than that. And maybe 67 when we started our fire department. I just remember. Bert, no, I'm sure. Leslie would know, but he's not here. But that's what we did. We split up and we come down here and we began to work, and we got first fire truck we paid I think $45 or something for. Got it from Virginia Beach.
It's actually a good thing y'all split up, really.
Yes,
Probably
we
because you
need
need the two districts with all
Yes,
these
we
new
do.
houses going
Yeah.
up. And
We need manpower for to help us, you know.
I mean,
We
a
don't
long
have no
time
young
ago, you
people,
probably
yeah.
only needed one, right?
Well, no. I think Wade's even needs one.
Oh, really?
Yes, because a lot of times the fireman that's like Jim is the fire chief here, he's out working, and see, none of them's paid here, and it's volunteer work, and a lot they have to work for a living, and a lot of times they couldn't get here on time or something, and if they had one the whole 3 neighborhoods had a house and had a fire truck, which we got 2 fire trucks and the brush truck, a little pickup that's equipped. And Rodanthe has theirs too, and if Waves had one, which Rodanthe and Waves is together, but if Waves had even a house and 1 fire truck, and had a chief there, somebody that could act as chief or even assistant chief, why, I think we'd be better off. Yeah, but I can't say that. You know, I mean, I say it, but I don't think it'll ever exist like it. Of course, we don't even have enough manpower. We need young blood and things. And
Right.
the young people is drugs now and alcohol. They could care less.
Is that
And the young people knows here, the boys and the girls too, know here, whenever they go to join the fire department, to get on the insurance, you know, and to drive the fire truck, if you want to be a fireman, you got to be trained.
Right.
You have to take blood tests and stuff. Be checked
Why
for
do you think
drugs.
drugs is becoming such a problem?
Honey, this neighborhood is terrible. These 2 campgrounds, I wish it didn't even exist. You hear them hoop and holler and cut up,
Do you
cuss.
think
and
it's
everything.
just boredom or
I don't know.
lack
The
of
drugs is
something?
and drugs is terrible.
Yeah.
Drugs is terrible, and they just caught one of my. I thought he was a dear friend, and when I'd heard it about a year ago, and I didn't want to believe it. He was a very good plumber, had a good business going and everything, and I got a call one morning early telling me they had grabbed him and put him in jail. I said, for what? Said the drugs. He was trucking drugs in here. Yes, I couldn't even believe it. And that man's in jail and can't get nobody bond him out.
Really?
His bond is so heavy, and they carried him to court, and he wanted to say he was set up. Really, he was set up. His partners told on him, so he ought to know that. If they catch your partner, and you think you're going to have life in prison, or you think you're going to prison for so many years, and why, if you can squeal, go state evidence, why you'll do it. And that's what a lot of does. The main ones will do that, and then they'll tell on you, which I think that's wrong.
Do you
But
think it's people are just looking for another way to make money, so they're dealing drugs?
That's good
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
I've been to court. I've been on Jordan so many times, and the lawyers had it in great big bags and great big wads. Some of it's not even straightened out, which they're not allowed to straighten it out. The law's not until they're told to by court how they have to do these things. And I think it's sickening when you hear of a young girl in a home selling her clothes when She has no clothes except the clothes she stands on. She's got birthstone rings and watches and all kinds of gold necklaces and all. She sells them to pay for dope. I think that is so sickening.
Yes.
And we've had them in this neighborhood.
Oh.
And I've got friends to Hatteras Village and all. And one mother told me that her young daughter, she's married now. She straightened herself out, married now, and got kids, and goes to church. And she's in the Catholic Church, but I don't think it matters what church you go to. That's just the nameplate. Just a Wildfield over your door, and all. And her young boy, and he's is he 50? Elaine will be 15, the 29th of August, and he's her little boyfriend. He comes up here to church and different things they have, and she participates with him in the Catholic Church. They have a mission group too, and I mean a youth group, and I think that's very nice that they do that. You know, she was down here washing cars down there the other day at Buxton.
Right.
Oh yeah, to the church. I thought that was wonderful. You know, things like that to participate. But this woman told me down there that her daughter kept wearing the same pair of old dungarees, and it was bell bottoms then. And she walked on them till she walked the tails right off of them. And she kept telling her, "You've got to put them in the wash. Will you please pull them off?" And come find out, the girl would leave to go to school on the bus though, and she'd had this old chamois shirt and a pair of dungarees on. Sometimes she'd go barefooted, sometimes she'd have a old pair of shoes on. So the mother said, "Well, there's something going on with her. I'm going upstairs and check her room." And she's wearing the same clothes over and over. So she even told her, she said, "You smell." So the mother went upstairs, and when she went up there, her closet is bare, not even to a winter coat. She said, "Well, no wonder she froze near about to death, not wearing clothes."
Oh my
and
gosh.
she didn't have no shoes. She had sold her dress shoes and everything. And how she done it? The mother worked to a restaurant in Buxton. Go all the way up to Buxton and work. I forgot what it's called. It used to be Kentucky Chicken. Now it's called something else. That restaurant right next to Couch's place anyway. And the girl would take them out in bags. Nobody would know what she had in the dark bags. And she had birthstone rings and things like that, and sold everything she had. So her mother collared her, yeah. And her mother told her, said, "Now you're sick. We got to do something about it. You've sold your clothes and wearing the same old clothes over and over and over, and I knew there was something wrong with you." So they carried her to the doctor, and the doctor, tried to help her and all, and she went and calmed down, and the doctor was so bad, it was right pitiful. And then I reckon she woke up to the fact she had to have help, so she went and had help, and after that she come home and she began to straighten herself out, and she began to go to churches and all, and she met this fella, and so they finally got married. She's got, I know 2 boys she's got out. She's got him
Wow,
one,
that's a good ending on that sad
so,
story.
You wouldn't think the girl today ever done anything like it,
Right.
because she put a burden on her mom and dad a lot, and her brother too, and
Oh my gosh.
very close friends, and and you sit around and you hear of other people and you read about that in papers and all, but when you hear about your close friends, that boy, that he was a man if he was ever going to be one. When they told me that they had caught him, I had heard it, that he was snorting cocaine too, and I didn't want to believe it. Didn't want to believe it, and I just blocked it out of my mind. But Bertie Kay, when she called me from the courthouse and told me that Larry, they had got Larry the night before, or the morning before, it was around 3 o'clock when they got him. What he'd done, he'd been off to get a load of drugs and come in with his car. And I said, "No, Bertie Kay, it's not so sad it is." I said, "Well, I heard it a year ago, but I didn't want to believe it."
Right.
And all, and today, if you see things like it, you have to be very particular, because your home is in danger, or your family's in danger. They like to bring your home down.
Oh my gosh.
You don't know what people will do.
Right, yeah, and they're not.
Over there next to Jean and Bert, they're a home over there, and they're quite sure stuff is going on there, but they won't dare to call the law, because you never know if they find out who called. So tell them what they do.
Now, when you go to jury duty, do you go to Manio? Is that the county seat?
Yeah, that's where we have to go.
Right.
Yeah, I've got off of it for the last 2 times that they've called me. You don't have to sit only every 2 years, and they've called me several times, but I got off of it all the time. My mom, because I couldn't hurry somebody coming here and pay $250, just for a few hours. Couldn't do that. And she couldn't afford it either, her little bit of Social Security, so they've excused me so far. And Leslie got off on kind of his health, cancer was the last time I called him.
Right.
And all, but life is very funny. Life is very sweet, but when you sit down and think about all the stuff in the world today that's going on, it's people's lives, what they do with it and all. And so many times we take things for granted. I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should take anything for granted and all. And like people, about these drugs and all, you take it for granted that your children won't do it or your brother's children won't do it. We do not know that. We do not know from one minute till the next. When they get old enough that they're sent to school, you don't know what's taking place.
No.
On the school bus, in the schoolyard, and things like that. We never know. Thank God so far mine don't do it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they don't.
Yeah.
And all, but and I don't feel like a lot of people would probably think that I feel like I'm better than you would be. No, I do not. We're all equal in God's sight is what I feel. I don't feel like that I'm any better than you are. I always can look around and see somebody is in worse shape than I am.
Right.
Financial, earthly possessions like the home. My home has never been completed. The old house has never been completed, but it keeps me dry, it keeps me cool, it keeps me warm and everything, and I thank God for it.
Right.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And a house can, here's the way I feel, a house can sit you forever. If they're not loving that house, it's never a home. That's the way I feel. That's the way I feel about a church. A church is you and I. When we go to church, it's humans that goes inside. That building stands there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bible says that Jesus is coming back for his church, a spotless church. And, when you get to heaven, you don't see this whole structure, this whole building in heaven. And so it doesn't mean that God's coming after that old building out there. Mm-hmm. He's coming after the body of the church. That's the church, is you and I. That place can stay there forever. If you and I don't walk in it, it only can take one person to walk in it to make it a church.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
Or just people sitting on the beach with their hearts in the right place.
Yes, that's right.
No structure around them or anything.
That's right. Because, and I'd often say, if heaven is like Salvo, I don't want to go. Mm-hmm. Too much wickedness and evil, in the world today.
Yeah.
And which heaven, according to the Bible, and I've got to believe every bit of it, that from limb to limb, I've got to believe it, that heaven is a much better place. Much better
If
place.
heaven is not like,
It's not like it says
Salvo.
it is. Yeah.
If it's not like Salvo, you don't want to go?
If it's like Salvo, I do not want to go. If it's like the village now,
Gotcha.
I don't want to go. But if it's like, like the Bible says, doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go. And like I said, I have so much, and I have a lot of clothes, which I've had a lot of clothes given to me that people's bought. They couldn't wear it, and they pass it over to me, and I give a lot of my stuff away.
Gosh.
I share my clothes with people. I give it to them. Oh yeah, people that I know's not got as much as I do, I give it to them. Oh yeah. People money. And one day I was talking, and Listen said, "You don't have to tell me what you do." We're sitting out in the old swing. He said, "I know you give money." I said, "How do you know? You don't see me to give it money, do you?" He said, "I've not got to. I know what you're doing."
Aww.
I give people money.
He knows you've got a big heart.
Oh yes, and so.
Well, on that, I think I'll stop this because I'm supposed to go over to Mr. Burt's house